We're smooth 98.1 FM. It's gone exactly 28 minutes before it is 8 o'clock. We welcome you especially to Freshly Pressed. Let's get started as we look into the newspaper headlines this morning. It is the 28th of March. It is a Thursday, and so I've got with me company good enough to dig into all of the headlines this morning. A big welcome, Mr. C. Good morning to you, Mr. C.
Good morning, MS. Good morning, Gbubemi. Good morning, Lagos.
And then we'll go over to say a big good morning to Gbubemi this morning. How are you?
Hello, thank you. Good morning. Good morning, Lagos.
We've got the analyst, so we also got you right now. So we invite you to let know what your thoughts would be relating to the headlines this morning. Let's have your thoughts on the WhatsApp platform. That will be on 0809-444-0981 will be where we hope to read all your reactions to the newspaper headlines. You can also raise down to our YouTube channel, and that's youtube.com/smooth981FM Lagos. Let's also know what you feel about the audio there. Let's see how it's improving on the YouTube channel. I will get the messages in across too. But let's quickly go over now to our first paper this morning and see what it's all about. The first paper is before you, and Gbubemi, you should help us do the honors this morning. The Punch newspaper, where the headline here screams, Tinubu establishes 31-member Economic Coordination Council Management Task Force. That's what it's saying. It was a packed day for the president, from a funeral to all of this we see. But talk to us about the economy and how important this is.
Okay, so yesterday, the president inaugurated the Economic Coordination Council, which is comprised of himself, the Vice President, the President of the Senate, the Chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum, the selection of ministers, Minister of Industry and Trade, Agriculture, some other ministers as well, CBN government, and also members of the private sector, people like Tony Lumelu and Gbubemi. And this, according to his special assistant on media matters during the rally, is in furtherance of the president's achievements of the re-engineering of the nation's economic governance framework. So the president has been in office for about
10 months.
10 months now, 10 months roughly. And, expectations have been high ever since he's been in office. Since he was sworn in office last year, we've seen the economy take a beating in various aspects. Inflation rate has gone up, food inflation has gone up, petrol prices have gone up, FX rates have gone up. Seems as if everything has been going up, and we're wondering when it will come down. So people have had a lot of questions. People have also said, they haven't felt as though the president has addressed the needed issues, because they haven't seen any change. And the president came in on his renewed hope slogan. So people are wondering, when will our hopes be renewed? So this setting up of this council, economic council, is one of his initiatives to address all of these issues. Bearing in fact also that there was also an economic management team in place before now already. Yeah. So this is, I'm not quite sure whether this supersedes that, because according to the story, this team is supposed to be in office for about 6 months, and during this period, the previous economic management team is supposed to quote unquote step down for this. So one of the aims of this economic council is to urgently put in place measures or suggest measures that can be done to address all of the issues in the economy. So from agriculture to FX issues, generally ways of finding out how to enhance the economic environment. So a lot of us have had various thoughts about the things that can be done, but the president has now decided to put together some people to do this. Well, it's easy to set up teams and councils and all of that. For me, I always believe that execution and implementation are the core things. And I'm not quite sure we've seen a lot of that this year, in terms of the things that have been done. So there'll be measures, I'll admit that there'll be measures, but we haven't seen quite a lot of successes. in my opinion, and I've always said this, it always seems as though we try to address symptoms rather than the root cause. And a lot of the root causes are really known. So for example, when we talk about the economy, one of the things that is affecting us is even security issues. So that's well known. I would have thought that by now, security concerns and issues would have been made number one. Let's fight and tackle that and then see, how far we can go with that. Power is also another issue, so the power situation in the last few weeks, maybe months, has been atrocious. That situation, has really impacted upon businesses. For the fact that a lot more businesses will probably have to, not even probably, have had to run more on alternative power sources rather than, established power sources. So I'd really like to see what they come up with. But for me, it's not necessarily about what they come up with. It's about the execution. And as I said, I hope that they actually focus on the root causes rather than just the symptoms.
Okay, so let me quickly jump in on this.
While you jump in, just also make meaning of this, the person, the caliber of the people I see in this committee, especially from the private sector. I see oil and gas, banking, I see cement there, and Aliko Dangote striding across oil, cement, and then I see is also his competitor there, the Boa cement person is also there. And Tony Elumelu in terms of banking is also there. So just weave all of this together.
Okay, so I'll address that secondly. Now, more importantly, I have a fundamental concern with this new arrangement. By the provisions of Section 153, subsection 1 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999, as amended, there's a National Economic Council, and the membership is comprised of the 36 state governors, the president, the vice president, who is the chairman, and then the governor of the CBN and other government officials as required. Now, what is the mandate of this National Economic Council? It's very simple. It is one, to advise the president concerning the economic affairs of the federation, and in particular on measures necessary for the coordination of the economic planning efforts or economic programs of the various governments of the federation. Now, the bodies that were announced yesterday are expected to further the administration's efforts at re-engineering the nation's economic governance framework and also coordinate the economic planning system for Nigeria. Now, this sounds like a duplication. Now, what exactly are these new formations going to be doing that the National Economic Council is not already established and empowered to do? Two, where there's a divergence of opinions between the National Economic Council and then these new formations, what happens? Now, speaking to the membership, he's drawn some of the leading lights from the private sector. We know that their membership is for only 1 year, first instance, and it is hoped that whatever recommendations they bring to the table will seriously be considered and then implemented, because what we've seen with some previous administrations is a very solid and robust economic management team is set up, especially with the last administration. They make recommendations, and then for whatever reason, those recommendations are not readily implemented. So we hope this will not be a rehash of what has already happened. We do trust that political considerations will not trump the suggestions and the policies recommended by these formations. But more importantly, they should revisit these new formations vis-a-vis the National Economic Council. And for me, it is better to harmonize all the groups, because this is one of the problems that has bedeviled Nigeria since independence. Multiple MDAs, multiple bodies doing the same work.
Gbubemi, the issue once again. Our national way of finding solutions that always would rally around the use of the committee system. Have we really abused this committee system of getting things done in society?
I would say yes. I would say yes. And largely, like I said earlier, and also we focus a lot on the actions. People come sit down, do meetings, put together some fine, beautiful documents, documents that in theory, can probably solve all of our problems. But many times those documents, those policies and ideas are never given the full extent of execution. So we don't even know, why we have all of these things all of the time. So for me, like I said, I think we should focus a lot more on the execution, which is where we are weak on, rather than having all these committees and putting policies and things together.
So, Mr. C, let's see what the Vanguard is leading us up to this morning from your end. And it talks about the slain soldiers at the burial, grieving families, even as they cry, knowing that I hope this will not be the last they would see of the authorities and the different forces in which their beloved ones serve. And so they're demanding for justice. Speak to us on how solemn that event was yesterday and how we can avoid such a situation once again.
Okay, thank you, Mas. Yes, indeed, it was a very sad and solemn occasion yesterday, and our thoughts continue to go out to the families of these slain soldiers who died in active duty. And we do trust that the Nigerian authorities will bring the criminals behind this dastardly act to justice. Now, it bears pointing out that it is a slap on the face of any sovereign nation that its soldiers or its security officials are murdered by criminal elements. And yes, the families have prayed that justice be done. And we believe that justice will be done if we look at previous incidents that have also involved the unlawful killing of soldiers or security agents. More often than not, the Nigerian authorities have always been able to fish out the perpetrators. Now, the truth of the matter is this. The president has been very decisive. He's been very categorical. He's been very clear that the Nigerian state will not accept this and the perpetrators will be brought to justice. And this is very good and commendable because you must send out a clear signal to non-state actors, to criminal elements, that there's a limit to which they can carry out their nefarious and criminal activities. And you have to draw the line at killing a security agent. Everywhere across the globe, if you kill or attempt to kill a security agent, the full weight of the state is brought down to bear on you. So this should not be an exception. However, like I said a week or 2 weeks ago, it should be the Nigeria police force driving the investigations, but working hand in hand with the soldiers to ensure that they're kept in the loop as to developments. So let's trust and hope that the Nigerian authorities will bring to book the perpetrators behind this dastardly act, and that they will have their day in court, not necessarily lynched or summarily executed, but that they will be given the opportunity to present whatever defense they think is tenable before the court of law, and then the courts will decide one way or the other.
As we sum up that story, we understand while the president was at that ceremony as they laid them to rest in national colors, the coffins were all draped with the national colors. But again, it speaks to something the president was talking about and how they've passed on, but they were conferred posthumously with the MON and the OFR. Is this honor coming too late?
Okay, so I wouldn't say it's coming too late. So what are the odds that any of them would have gotten the honors whilst they were alive if they lived, say, to 80 or 90? We don't know. Slim? Maybe. But the message being sent now is do not be afraid to die in the line of duty. The state is behind you. And it's to really raise the morale of those who are still alive. That's why they've been posthumously conferred with those honors. And to show them that Nigerian soldiers, Nigerian security agents are considered very valuable by the government, and their welfare and everything related or pertaining to them will be taken very seriously.
That's a fine place to go over to Gbubemi, and let's look at how passionate the government would be, in as much as Mr. C been able to establish that the government passionate about its armed forces. But how about the healthcare of citizens? But let's look at the next headline for a lead there. Tinubu passionate about enhanced healthcare delivery. That's Vice President Kashim Shettima is the one speaking. Walk us through this story and what it's really all about, and can we see the results very soon in terms of renewed hope?
The vice president received a delegation from the University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital, led by its chief medical director. So it was at that point where they came to thank the vice president for his support in upskilling and addressing their facility issues and equipment issues. And that was at the point at which the vice president made that comment. When I saw it, I just laughed because I said to myself, well, for you to be passionate about something, we need to see your corresponding actions. And personally, I think that until I hear that the president or any of the other top government officials use a Nigerian public hospital, then I will not, I will not be convinced that they're passionate about it, because I've never, to the best of my knowledge, I can't remember the last time I heard that a top government official used a public hospital. Even when Aso Rock has a state clinic.
It's been upgraded beyond. It's not a clinic any longer. Yeah, it's been moved up to a level now that is medical center.
Well, I've still not heard them using it.
As at the last administration that we did, that was one of the pet projects that was left behind. If you missed out on that news,
So,
missed out on this, and they're still not using it.
But Amas, sorry, it was so designated. This current administration, we can count the number of trips the current president has undertaken outside the country on health-related matters. So, assuming your contention is correct, what has he been doing outside? So it is clear that despite the announcement, despite the declarations, all is not well with that building inside the villa.
So personally, anyway, like I had said, until I see a top government official use a public hospital, I will not be convinced.
It's not going to happen.
Exactly. So they're not passionate about it.
We can't say that with finality it's not going to happen, Mr. C.
Well, until it's happened.
Yeah. Okay.
It hasn't happened since at least the last 15 years, most likely. It hasn't happened. Yeah. And I believe that if it had happened, it would have made the news, because that would be newsworthy. And it hasn't happened because.
And you think every time a public officer goes in to use the Aso Rock Medical Center, you think they should announce it? And so what about the health being discreet?
They do less important things that are announced.
Okay.
And the health sector is critical. So this is at the point where a lot of our doctors, medical service officers are leaving the country. If
are leaving or have left?
They're still leaving.
Okay.
So if the president, I would have thought that one of the best ways to spin a way addressing the healthcare issue is for the president or the vice president or any of the top government officials to go to a public hospital, even if it is to go and check whether they have malaria or something.
Are you being serious?
All right. Well, I think we've dwelled enough.
I want to throw this in very quickly. The immediate past vice president, when he needed to have a procedure conducted, he went to a private hospital in Ikeja.
Was that hospital abroad?
No, a private hospital. It's not in Nigeria. The public hospital was down the road. He didn't go there.
So let's go on and look at oil matters from this next story, Mr. C. And it's been up around, people have not been certain about what the situation is. Like they say, whatever goes up, that's the song done by, what goes up must come down now. That song was done. What goes up was done by Bongo Sikwe. I'm going to put my hand on that somewhere along the line, but I'm just going to link that to the story we're looking at right now from the Daily Post newspaper, where the NNPCL denies reducing fuel price. And why would people be expecting that fuel price would come down so soon, Mr. C?
Okay, so thank you, Amas. So there were reports yesterday. So there's been lately a proliferation of fake news all over social media. So this is one of the bits of fake news that hits that prices of petrol and I think AGO had gone down. Now, there's actually no substance or no basis to this story, and it's amazing how people run with it. And it just speaks to the typical Nigerian mind. Something comes out, you're reluctant to fact check, you're reluctant to cross check, and you just run with it. And it's similar to what will happen. So human beings generally, to some extent, are very reluctant to cross-check facts. So a group of people are sitting down, someone races past them, right?
Yes.
They don't bother to check, why is he racing? Everybody just gets up and follows him. And then it's down midway, maybe 10 minutes later, they're wondering, okay, why are we actually running? And they don't know why they're running. So again, it's good the NNPC came out quickly to debunk this news that it's not correct, that the prices have come down. Now, to your implied question, if prices go up, why can't they come down? In Nigeria, generally, conventional history, take the past 30, 40, 50 years, Generally, prices, if the price goes up, it rarely ever comes down. And I'm leaving that room for any exceptions. Now, remember that for whatever reason, we're still not refining petrol in Nigeria.
All right, Mr. C, just so you sum up this story for us, let's not pretend about this now. For the past 1 week, we've noticed the temperature of the naira. It's been, the naira situation compared to the dollar has been, doing good. The last time we checked, about 1,300-ish. And so factoring that into import of the crude, they're saying, since it's come down, then that's the calculation people have been making.
I'm sorry. So that line of thought doesn't take into account the true realities. You're importing crude, you're importing petrol into Nigeria. Nobody's collecting your naira outside the country. It's dollars they're going to collect. And remember, we do not have an infinite supply of forex here. People are still scrambling around looking for dollars. Now, yes, the naira seems to have stabilized vis-a-vis the dollar in the past 7 days, but at what cost? The NPR is now 36%. What does that mean to the average man on the street? If you take a loan of 1 million naira, right? Even if the bank decides to adopt the NPR rate, you are looking at paying interest of 360,000 naira on a 1 million naira loan. How many business people can survive on such an arrangement? So yes, the naira appears to have stabilized. Again, at what cost? Until we start refining, and even when we do start refining, we're not going to see substantial decreases in the price.
All right, Mr. C, thanks very much. Just a quick one with messages waiting.
Yeah, we also need to remember, that based on the current international trading price of oil, the amount that we're selling our petrol was below that. So even if the price comes down, there's no guarantee that, the price will change, because we don't even know whether the markup to make the difference has been coming from.
So we can settle on this table that what the NNPCL has done right now douses all of those speculation, which is a good thing to come out and speak up and say there was really no basis, there's no plan, there's no reduction yet.
Well, maybe
in their pump prices. Okay. Let's go over and see what messages are looking like for us this morning. A message waiting here. Abbas Oladepo comes with a message there. Says there's always been an economic team set up by presidents in the past, and it's to help with the economy. Then any step taken to help our economy shouldn't be seen from the prism of pessimism. Nigeria needs to win at all fronts, on all fronts, and it is gross misinformation to say emphatically that the president has traveled out of the country for medical various times. Well, Mr. C should show us where the media that such news was reported, apart from speculations whenever I traveled out. Then goes the next one comes Orov. I see Orov's message and it says, Mr. C, hello. The courts are overwhelmed. I beg to differ. These people mentions, it talks about those who are responsible for the slain officers. They think they can kill security operatives and fool around, should be summarily executed. And it goes on, period. We have way too many issues to deal with as a nation. Let's conserve resources. Mr. C is a lawyer and he would always defend the law anytime, any day. So that's stated there. Quartereg comes in for this one, says, former Vice President Oshibajo had his operation in Nigerian hospital, but Mr. C and Gbubemi would keep insisting, but it's a private hospital. But then it's in Nigeria. So you can see
private for profit.
Omas, the focus was on public hospitals.
Christy from Lagos had that one just to throw it in for you guys who in your face hear it. Now, Joseph Menier's message is what I'm looking at, and it comes up. All hail the president's speech and the burial of the fallen soldiers. The punishment he wants done to the perpetrators. The same vigor and punishment should extend to the terrorists and kidnappers, not pampering, or otherwise let impunity end. We will have faith in the government. If not, it's audio. Discuss. And that's Joseph Menye, Silver State from Ejigbo. And then Zachary comes with a message for us this morning, and he says, well, please educate me. I'm just a common man that hates to sound pessimistic. They are businessmen. Are they going to bring down the cost of cement, petrol products, and food items? I don't think so. Just give Nigerians electricity and security to farmers. You will see change in your economy and all the forces of demand and supply to play out. Ibrahim Zachari's thoughts this message. Let's go over. Gbubemi, we're waiting for your next paper now. Let's look at what it's looking like. The place of steel in an economy. The minister speaks on steel development as catalyst for industrialization. How true, how so? And why is Ajaokuta not playing that role? We must go there.
Okay, so the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Doris Uzoka Anite, has emphasized the government's commitment to industrial revolution, stating also that steel is the cornerstone of that vision. She said that it prioritizes steel due to its foundational role in building a nation's infrastructure. We focused a lot on steel over the years, and we haven't rolled one whatever measure of steel it is. There are very many reasons for that. Primarily, like you had mentioned, at Jakarta, which it's quote unquote still in operation, but it's not rolling out any steel mills. And now we hear that there's an infrastructure development fund, which is to assist in focusing on the critical areas of infrastructure across the nation's economy. And steel is one of the issues that will be addressed. I'm not too sure what to think about steel because, ever since Ajaokuta has been in place since I think about the 60s, 70s, like I said, no steel has been here. The issues are quite clear. I'm not sure as it is, milling steel is offers us any immediate comparative advantage, at least in terms of focusing directly on something. There are a lot of other things that we can focus on, a lot of other mineral resources, that we can focus on that might give us a greater impact, for local use and also for export purposes.
But ideally, when you look at an economy, it's more like what the vertebral is. When you look at the bridges you ride on, that's steel. When you walk around Broad Street and see the high-rise buildings, or in Abuja, all of those buildings standing, they're all standing because you have steel structure inside those mortars, right?
Yeah. So what I'm basically saying is that it comes down to should I say, sort of like a cost-benefit analysis in terms of what would it take us to be able to generate steel? Clearly, it's going to take a lot of work, even though it is needed infrastructure. There are a lot of other resources that we can focus on that we can use for local use and exportation, like I had said, that we would need to put in less effort, quote and unquote. There's nothing wrong with importing.
Oh, you want low-hanging fruits first.
Exactly.
That's what you're saying.
Exactly. That's basically what I'm saying. So there are a lot of other things that we can focus on that can give us immediate benefits, So there's nothing wrong with importing the resources that we don't have, or that we cannot produce sustainably or profitably.
All right, so let's see more messages. JP's message says, the news of fuel going down, though fake, stems from the FX exchange. And of course, we mentioned that, right, Mr. C? There is a correlation between FX rates and LDC of fuel, the landing cost, I guess it says. This, though, again, is fake news. That's JP's. And the NNPC have just doused that flame entirely. Kill it. Now, okay, now let's move on. Gary Newton has been typing for ages now. Okay, let's go. It says, all the news talk about the dead soldiers doing investigation of press has covered what actually happened. These are trained soldiers. If you experience what the security agencies do to citizens in Delta, you will cease talking about this until a professional investigation is carried out on what has transpired. Talking about the naira again in the past 7 days, leading to drop in price. How many vessels were imported within this period at the current rate? And it goes on and on. Gary, we see your message just quickly.
So, just quick correction. MPR is actually 24.75, not 36%. That's 1, 2. I need to put this out there, right? When provisions are made under the law for certain things to be done, it is immaterial and it is truly regrettable to suggest or even indicate that previous people have done it. That some people do something, even if it is illegal, does not make it right. There's a National Economic Council, and they've been set up by law. These other ad hoc bodies must act subject to that body.
All right, thanks, Mr. C. But I see, would the presence of a law help people behave well in society? I say this to just help you give us a one sentence to this statement where from the Punch, the Federal Road Safety Corps, FRC, prepares 200 mobile courts for traffic offenders. One sentence.
Okay, so one sentence. The presence of a law will not deter everyone, but it will deter the weak-minded. But for the ones who are determined to flout and breach the provisions of that law, it doesn't move them.
All right, driver, be warned. You can hear this now as you drive for Easter. Well, this is where we call it a morning, and it's a wrap this morning. I say thank you to Gbubemi Atimomo for your time.
Very much.
And thank you, Mr. C, for your time also.
Thank you for having me.
And thanks for everyone who also sent in their messages this morning. You made it all happen. So the next stop will be for us to get into the grapevine. So I need you to stay with me at exactly 8:15. There'll be new music and an artist is also coming in. Stay tuned. We're Smooth 98.1 FM. My name is Omatseye Atsenuwa. Good morning.